Shalom Yesharala. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rucha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim. Let's preach the word in all truth and sincerity, along to Israelite foreigner brothers that are like the heathens. But the line on the false side goes back to the nation of Israel, which nation of Israel are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans through the prophecies and curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter and throughout the Bible. So this is your brother Yakar Amah back another video, and today's video will be entitled Our Lord Yahweh Shai Had a Biological Father. I'm just going to go on some precepts and Lord willing, you brothers and you sisters out there be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, because, as brothers know about the Immaculate Conception, which is a Christian doctrine and belief that our Lord Yahweh Shai, whom they call Jesus, didn't have a biological father, which that is indeed false. Our Lord Yahweh Shai did have a father, and his father's name was Joseph, and I just want to go into a quick lesson on to prove that our Lord Yahweh Shai had a father, a biological father, man, because an angel did not impregnate Mary, because, angels don't have sex. They don't mate, and number two, that would be an act of adultery, so, Christian belief, doctrine of the Immaculate Conception is a fable, and the first scriptures I'll be getting is in the book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse 42. And it reads, and I start verse 41. It says, Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover, and when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. And when they have fulfilled the days, as they returned, the child Yahweh Shai tarried behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinsfolk and acquaintance. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. So, his parents, Joseph and Mary, our Lord Yahweh Shai parents, Joseph and Mary, was, looking for him, and they found him, after 3 days, they found him in the temple, speaking with the doctors, the Levites, the scribes, it says, and all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing, man. So this precept alone cuts the Immaculate Conception doctrine, So this proves our Lord Yahweh Shai had a father, and his name was Joseph, which in Hebrew is a Yahweh, which means he will add, And when we go to the next account in John, this is St. John 1:45. And it reads, Philip findeth Nathanael and said unto him, We have found him, talking about Yahweh Shai, of whom Moses and the law and the prophets did write, Yahweh Shai of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. See? So self-explanatory, man. So our Lord Yahushua, father was Joseph, and Yahushua, he was a Judite. He descended directly, from the lineage of King David. Because it actually tells you that in Luke the 2nd chapter in the beginning. Luke 2 and verse 4, it says, "And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David." Because according to the scriptures, you are who your father is. So Joseph, he was a direct descendant of King David, which will make him a Judite, which made our Lord Yahushua a Judite, as it says in Hebrews 7 and 14. This is Hebrews 7 and verse 14. It says, "For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood," man. Right. So our Lord Yahushua, he was a Judite. He'll be classified as a so-called Negro today, you see. And when you go to Romans, the priesthood is pretty much, self-explanatory, but, just wanted to get, some precepts to prove that our Lord Yahushua had a biological father. Once again, this is Romans chapter 1. The point is in verse 3, but I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "Paul, a servant of Yahushua Mashiach, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of Yahweh, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, concerning his son, Yahushua Mashiach, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh." See? So, because remember, the angels, they don't mate. They don't have sex or nothing. They don't have lineage. And that's only given to mortal men on earth. We have lineages, you see. And I just want to try to find that precept when it speaks about the angels don't have sex or nothing like that. Yeah, this is Matthew 22 and verse 30. It says, "For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Yahweh in heaven." So the angels, they don't have sex, they don't marry, because they're spirits, you see. Given in marriage meaning have sex. So, the angels, they don't do that. They don't have lineages like we do. They're just spirits that the Lord created on the right hand side to do the Lord's will. Rather be on the right hand side, the righteous angels, or the demons on the left hand side. You see? So let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2-3. It says, "I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man." See, so of the seed of man, going back, you are who your father is, according to Numbers 1:18. So if your father is a Judite or Issacharite, and your mother could be an Edomite, there's no such thing as mix. You are who your father is. So if you have a Judite father, but your mother is an Edomite, just give an example, you are a Judite, even if he can appear, to look like an Edomite, or a red bone, because it's not about how you look. It's not about phenotypes. It's about your lineage on your father's side. If it goes back to being an Israelite. Going back to being of the ancestry of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see, it says, being verse 2 in the middle, being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep. And when I was born, I drew in common air and fell upon the earth, which is of like nature. And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do, man. You know. So Yahushua, he had the same birth. You know. So, you know, I don't want to beat the dead horse. That was pretty much it. It's many more precepts, but I don't want to beat the dead horse. I pretty much made the point already. But our Lord Yahushua had a biological father, man. And his name was Joseph. And he was a direct descendant of King David, which made him a Judite, which made our Lord Yahushua a Judite. So, which will be classified as so-called Negro today. So, Lord willing, I was edified. And until next time, Shalom.